Good morning. My name is Andy Huckaba with Huckaba and Associates. I serve as chair of the Lenexa Chambers Legislative Committee, and it's my honor to moderate today's candidate interview. On behalf of the Johnson County Public Policy Council, a collaboration of all 10 area local chambers of commerce, and in particular on behalf of today's co-hosts, the Shawnee and Lenexa Chambers, I'd like to welcome everyone. Joining me is Michael Kerner, the Libertarian candidate for the Kansas House District 17, which includes parts of North Central Lenexa, Central Shawnee, and part of Lake Quivira. Also joining me as timekeeper is Dustin Wolf from the Shawnee Chamber. I'll briefly share the format of our candidate interview, which will include a 2-minute opening statement from Mike, a moderated question and answer period during which he will have 1.5 minutes to respond, followed at the end by a 2-minute closing statement. Today's questions, which focus on business issues, were developed by the Public Policy Council. Due to time constraints, there will be no follow-up questions or viewer participation, so the webinar's Q&A and chat functions have been disabled. Now, let us begin. So Michael, let's start with your 2-minute opening statement.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for having me here. My name is Michael Kerner. I'm a libertarian. I've lived in Lenexa for better than 20 years right now. And my main reason to run is freedom. I've got a bunch of grandchildren, and I want them to grow up in a free nation, not a tyranny. And I'm very afraid of things like that. Libertarians are very much interested in lower taxes, less government interference in your life, and we're vehemently opposed to any kind of gun control. We want to see marijuana being made totally legal, so we don't have to have patients running off to other states. We're now surrounded by states where marijuana is legal, but we're still arresting them here. That can't go on. We need freedom. Government has been an obstacle to our freedom for all of my life, and it's just been getting worse lately, not better. I know at least one of my opponents is definitely a gun control person, and I want to contrast myself to her. There's no way I would go along with, with any kind of red flag laws or any kind of gun control more than we have now. Kansas is a relatively free state with guns, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's why we have relatively low crime, even compared to our neighbors on the other side of the state line. So I think that's good enough for an opening. Let's go on with the first question.
Thank you, Michael. Question 1, you have 1.5 minutes to respond to each of these questions. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
Okay. Top 3 issues are, I want to get some free, probably the most urgent issue is that we let sick people get their marijuana without risking jail. We have to undo that whole marijuana nonsense. We also have to lower taxes. We have to get the government waste under control, and we need lower taxes. If businesses are to grow, they need less government interference. Taxes chase people away. And I think we've seen that on a nationwide basis. High taxes, we always have bad times. Lower taxes, suddenly business gets better. I'm also going to make a comment on another issue that's come up is the special tax breaks that get businesses that come into the area. That I don't think is fair at all, because now you're putting the existing businesses at a disadvantage. If taxes are too high for a business to make a living here, then it should be reduced for everybody, no special advantages to somebody coming in. Okay.
Thank you. Question 2, how would you propose to balance the state budget? What specific budget cuts would you support? And what revenue enhancements, if any, would you consider?
Okay. The biggest chunk of the state budget is education, and I'm going to propose something a very large change here. I don't think the state should be financing education in whole or in part. I think we should push all of that. The state should drop the income tax completely and push all the expenses of education to the local school boards to tax. The advantage there is that the taxpayers will know what they're actually paying for schools. Right now, they pay a little bit through state income tax, a little bit through property taxes, and it's all mixed up. They don't know how much they're paying. They're paying $14,000 per child per year. that's an awful lot of money, but you don't see it because you're paying it piecemeal in different directions. So I think we can cut back, that we can get huge savings out of the education budget if we push it into one pot and let people see how much is being wasted. Beyond that, I would run, I guess there's gonna be questions later about the roads, so I'll let it go with that. Okay,
Thank you.
let it go there.
Question 2. What would you do to grow and further develop the state's workforce?
Okay, now, again, the important thing is to keep people here. A lot of kids go to school here, and when they grow up, they go someplace else where they can make more money, or where taxes are less, or housing is less, or somewhere it's easier to live. We have to make this a pleasant place to live and not an expensive, high tax place to live. I know it's not as high as New York or California, but it's high for the Midwest. And that's not an acceptable situation, and that chases people away. I know when I moved here, I worked for a company in Florida, and they moved here because this was a relatively inexpensive place to have a factory compared to South Florida. And it certainly was. In 1997, it saved me a lot of money to come here, but things have gotten very much more expensive since then. That has to get fixed.
Thank you. And I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. No.
Okay.
We're done.
Okay. Question 4. What are your views on K through 12 public education funding?
Well, I think I just answered that in the other question. I would like to push it all into local and get it away from the state. So people can get, people have direct control over their school board members. They have no control when the money is coming from all sorts of different sources, and they don't even know how much is going to education. So.
Thank you. Question 5, and we're moving right along here. What types of economic development policies will you support to encourage job growth and business expansion in Kansas?
As always, taxes and regulation. That's what stops business from expanding, and that's what you have to fix. You'll notice taxes are a major point of my campaign. They're very detrimental. Even I'm paying so much money, even in retirement, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
So that's the answer.
Question 6. What are your views on state tax policy, being as specific as you can? So we're continuing to hit this tax.
Income tax is the most damaging of the taxes the state has. Sales tax is bad enough, but income tax is terrible because it basically chases away anybody who's super productive, makes them want to go someplace else. We're not as bad as California and New York, but we're certainly enough to chase people away. I'm sure we're losing people to Texas on a regular basis because of that. Texas has 0 state income tax.
Okay.
What else we do? Roads. People are going to ask about roads. Roads can be paid for with gasoline taxes and tolls. That's the only thing that should be paying for roads. And if you don't waste it and don't steal it for other purposes, there's plenty.
Okay. Thank you. Question 7. What are your views on healthcare policy?
Okay. Throughout my lifetime, I've seen the government get more and more involved in healthcare, and the result has only been raising the price. There's not too many advantages to being old, except that you get to remember things that happened from personal history and not what the history books say. And I remember this world before there was Medicare and Medicaid and all that. And I was a teenager, and I had an older grandmother, and she was able to have health insurance pre-Medicare that cost, it's hard to imagine with the numbers involved, $45 a quarter was her premium, a quarter year, $15 a month. And she had health insurance over 65 before the government started coming in and with Medicare and Medicaid, that drove prices up all over the place. Okay. So I will not go for any further expansions of Medicaid, and I would certainly like to back off government intervention as much as we can to get back to a free market in medicine.
Great, thank you. Question 8. What do you believe most distinguishes you from your opponents in this race?
Well, besides I vehemently hate for taxes, I think it's my gun control position. None, absolutely no gun control, no red flag laws, none of that stuff. That's far too dangerous. If you believe that's a good idea, then you don't know history. You need to study history and the results of gun control in other countries. It has actually has created genocide. At least 8 times in the 20th century, we had genocide enabled by gun control. That's not a direction we want to go in.
Okay. And lastly, your closing statement for a total of 2 minutes.
Okay. I know being a libertarian is a disadvantage because a lot of people just say, "Oh, what's that? Who are you?" And some people say, "Oh, you're just Republicans who like to smoke pot," or some other silliness like that. But we actually do want freedom for everybody. And I know I'm kind of close to the end to the end line myself, but I got children and I have grandchildren, and I don't want to see them growing up in a tyranny. That really worries me. I have 4 grandchildren range from 5 to 9 years old, and it's hard to imagine them growing up in where this world is going to. I don't want them to see them happen. So that's why I'm running. That's why I'm very interested in freedom and lower taxes and less government control of everything. So I hope you can get your vote on November 3rd or earlier, as the case may be. And by the way, I will not be voting by mail. I will be voting in person because I don't trust the mail system for something this important. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. So this concludes our candidate interview with the Kansas House District 17 candidate, Michael Kerner. On behalf of the Shawnee and Lenexa Chambers of Commerce and the entire Johnson County Public Policy Council, thank you for participating in today's program and providing voters with this important opportunity to hear from you. This interview has been recorded and will be posted on the Public Nonpartisan Voter website, www.votejoco.com, where you also find more information about the candidates, videos of other candidate forums and interviews, and advanced voting details. And with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.